Ooh, that was weird. Something just happened with the mute button when we got off, boys. And I think Hunter was supposed to do the intro, but I'm just hijacking it because I unmuted mine button first. So sucks to suck, dude. Welcome everybody to Philly Insider Podcast. You can see him in the bottom corner right there. You can see we got the one and only Seth Fisher with us today, guys. And for those of you who don't know, we started this podcast for two reasons. Over the pandemic, we missed our sports badly, and we just wanted to spend time with each other. So I am proud to announce today that we are welcoming someone else into that group. The man of the hour, we officially have asked Seth to join the podcast right before we started this live, and Seth gave us the yes. So, man, how does it feel to be a new member of Philly Insider Podcast?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. Looks like Hunter's having some difficulties, but I'll thank you.
We'll get him here.
Privileged to be on the podcast. Wasn't expecting the invite, but I'm glad to be here.
Hey, man, we're glad to have you. Like we mentioned, it's a fun way for us to all stay in touch, get to bond over something we all love, and we're glad to have you. And we do have Hunter back, and I know we had some topics to get us through. So, man, what are you thinking? What do you want to start with here? Oh. He's frozen again. But
We've got some breaking news here.
I did not know he had that ready. I really did not know he had that ready. But I 3,000% approve. Somebody please tell me that's on the Instagram. Is that on the Instagram?
Yes, post it as we speak. Yes.
Yes.
I'm sending that. I'm putting that on my story too.
Thank you, Rossi. Thank you.
Oh.
The post I didn't know I needed, but I'm so glad it was here, man.
Really the best.
Let me see. Hunter, do we have you back now? We got you back?
I'm going to join on my phone.
Okay.
I'm going to try to join on my phone.
Sometimes the phone
some
is
technical difficulties here.
Technical difficulties. Oh my goodness. The technical difficulties, Fish. You'd be surprised. Those be coming out of everywhere.
Is it just because I showed up?
No, this is not unique, Fish. Trust me. This be happening from time to time. College Wi-Fi is infamous. It is infamous on this channel.
All right.
But, in the meantime, I'm going to drill you through while we're waiting for him.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start it off on a nice little positive note, man. Your favorite Eagles memory. I think we all have different versions of this, but I want to hear yours.
All right. And I know what you were expecting, so I thought, everyone's going to say the Super Bowl win. Because you can't beat it. You really can't.
You can't beat it. You're right. I should disqualify it. Let me disqualify that. You can't say the Super Bowl win. You can put anything else.
Wasn't going to. 2010 Miracle in the Meadowlands.
Oh, a classic.
I'll never forget that game. It was around Christmas time. We had the whole family over, and I'm watching it with my two uncles who I never get to see, my grandpop who I never get to see, and we all got together for the game, and it looked like an absolute just horror show. Eagles were getting spanked for all three quarters, and it was over. But by all means, in the third quarter, we stopped watching. We started eating our food, and somehow I end up walking in the living room with 8 minutes left, and I'm like, I might as well watch the game. Nothing's going on. And I caught everything. I got to see it. Family started pouring in as the comeback started happening, and then it was history from there.
Hey, man, what an electric memory that must have been, dude.
100%.
Man, and I don't know. We also, right now, I think I see in the list, Hunter says the NFC chip is one of the notes. So I'm guessing he means like for this year. We got playoffs coming up, man.
It is. It's the 4-year anniversary.
I meant that for because Seth, we were talking about the NFC chip earlier today because today was the anniversary of the Eagles one.
Yep, against the Vikings, 38-7.
That's crazy,
man. That was what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago now.
4 years ago now, which is absolutely insane. It feels like yesterday.
That does feel. I still remember that feeling of like the day after that game. I think I ran screaming down my street at like 11 p.m. that night after that game. I was so hype after everything that went down.
That was I remember watching the week before. It was Viking Saints, and obviously you had that. Yeah, the big play in the Vikings game that sent them to the NFC Championship.
Minnesota Miracle.
I was watching that. It was my birthday dinner. I saw that at Red Robin. We got to play Drew. And then all of a sudden that play happened, and I was like, we got to play that Vikings defense. But they're at the link.
It's true.
And Like I think Hunter tagged me in the video. John Clark pregame, the Eagles dancing before the game even started, and I that like weeks after the game actually happened, and thinking, oh, that's a game celebration, because that's what it looked like. It was before the game even started. 100%.
There was a special attitude about the team that year. Hard to even put your finger on, like, or even describe what it was, but that was something special.
It hasn't happened again,
dude. It was something.
Yeah.
But I feel I've kind of been dominating your time here a bit, Fish. And I know Hunter's still having a bit of technical issues right now. He's positioning everything. He's getting everything set up.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. So Rossi, bro, this is a guy who I know you want to ask Seth about, because so far everyone on our pod is all divided up on this dude right now, Seth. Everybody's got some kind of different opinion. There are varying levels of distrust, trust, belief, disbelief. And you yourself came at us. Well, you made sure we answered this question on the call in like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
So, Rossi, I want to know right now, before I get to Fish about this, and before we get him to answer this question, bro, with Hurts in hindsight now, man, what now? The playoff game it's finished. It's done. We got to see that. How are you feeling right now, Rossi? I don't think you were on. Were you on to like be able to discuss Hurts or no? For that call?
For the call-in? Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah, and I was very pro Hurts at the time. And, you know, the playoff game doesn't change my attitude about him too much. And there we go. We see breaking news there. The Giants expected to interview Brian Flores. But, you know, my attitude hasn't changed on him too much. I think that we know what he is, and we know the improvements that he has to make, right? And if there aren't serious improvements next year, then I'm out on him, right? I'm out on him. And I think that pretty much goes for everybody. And we've talked about this, Sanj. We've talked about the fact that, you know, we don't have a lot of better options right now. If you can get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, right, or Russell Wilson, or maybe even Deshaun Watson, I think the jury is out on that. Yeah. I think Eagles fans tend to be split. Sanj, you don't want Deshaun Watson.
I just have to say one thing, Rossi. I have to say the one-liner.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
I have to say the one-liner. I'm not trading a suspect QB for a QB who is literally a suspect. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, if the Eagles have the opportunity to get just an elite franchise quarterback, then by all means they should do that. But at this point, you're not looking at a draft with a really strong quarterback class. You know, you're going into next year with Jalen Hurts really as your best option. And you should start to look into other options if that doesn't pan out next year. But we see these guys make huge jumps in their second year, right? And I'm going to say second year just because I really don't count the few games that he played in replacement of Carson Wentz. I think that they were important as far as experience goes, but the offense was not tailored to Jalen Hurts, right? He didn't have a preseason. He didn't have training camp because of COVID. So those 4 games aside, right, we see these quarterbacks that make huge jumps in their second full year. I think of Josh Allen, and I don't want to say that that's my comp for Jalen, right? Because I think Josh Allen is head and shoulders above him. But what you're looking for is the possibility that he makes that huge jump. I don't know if he can do it. We'll see. I think that really my take on Hurts is, look, I like him as a person. I like his leadership ability. I like his intangibles. He's got to be better at you know, reading a defense. I mean, I just heard on 94.1 earlier today an audio clip of a Buccaneers position coach, I believe. It was either a position coach or just a defensive coach in general, who essentially said, look, Jalen can't read our defense. Just move around out there. He can't read a defense. That to me is really concerning. And Jalen Hurts really needs to take that next step next year. I don't know if he can. That's a really difficult thing to do. There's only a handful of quarterbacks in this league who just mentally are able to command an offense and know what a defense is doing. Guys like, you know, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. There's only so many of those guys out there, and I don't know if Jalen Hurts is one of them. But right now, he's our best option going forward, and I do like his intangibles. I do like what he's got in the running game. So we'll see. We'll see if he can improve as a passer, and we'll see if he can improve reading a defense.
For sure. Important things to keep an eye on. And Fish, you're not getting out of it. I haven't forgotten you. Let me know, man. What's the attitude right now on Hurts? And give me a little bit of past history. Were you were you in on Hurts before this? I think you were cautiously on the negative side, I think you were with me on that last week. Has that changed at all? Are you just full negative now? Like, I'm fully out. I have no problem admitting that. I lost so much faith in that playoff game. Are you fully out? Are you still just hanging around in the cautiously negative? Or do you see a little positive to look forward to?
I'm out. I am out on Hurts. Difficult situation going into next year, as Nate so wisely said. It doesn't seem like there's a better option.
Nope.
And this was my big fear going into this season, was that the best case scenario would happen where we would win 9 games, get a playoff spot, get smacked in the first round, and have to have a situation where Jalen Hurts needs a year 3. To your point, it is kind of like a year 2. Let's call it a year 2. He needs a year 2 to potentially prove he could be a starter in this league. I don't think he can be. I'm looking across the playoff teams that compete for championships. I brought it up with coworkers the other day. I've never seen – when was the last time you've seen a running quarterback win a Super Bowl? I'm not a believer in Hurts. I'm not a believer in the running quarterback. But he can't read a defense. It's something we've seen all year. Good defenses have been able to contain him very easily. We're 0-8 combined against teams that finished the year 500. That's not a winning formula. I think we had an outstanding offensive line, an outstanding run game that he was a part of, but nonetheless, an outstanding offensive line. And I think our coaches did a good job hiding his flaws as much as they could throughout the season against mediocre teams.
So, Seth, what do you mean by a running quarterback, though? Do you look at, like, per se, Josh Allen or Russell Wilson as a running quarterback, or just more mobile quarterbacks? Are you kind of referring to a quarterback who has to rely on their running ability because the passing ability isn't necessarily there?
Right. That's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking at a quarterback, even at someone as elite as Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson. They have to rely on their legs because maybe their arms aren't as good as a Josh Allen. Josh Allen, I wish he was my quarterback. I like Josh Allen. I like Justin
Allen, man.
They have legs they can use, but it's not their primary source of leading an offense. And I think, especially when you don't have the capability to read a defense as well as those guys do, good defense it's going to come back to bite you. And I think that's what we saw on Sunday with Hurts and the Eagles offense.
Yeah, and look, I would agree with that. I don't know what you guys are thinking. Sanjay, I think you kind of hesitantly agreed with the fact that we don't really have many options right now.
Yes.
I think that where we kind of differ here is that you guys are kind of saying, look, I have confidence that Jalen Hurts is not a starter in this league, whereas I'm saying, look, I think it's still up in the air. So I think that's where we differ there. But I would really agree that you can't be primarily a running quarterback in this league and win, especially not in the NFL as it is now. But so Seth, you kind of mentioned the fact that you thought the coaches on the offensive side of the ball, that would mean Sirianni specifically, did a great job at kind of disguising and mitigating some of those flaws that Jalen Hurts has. So let's just move into the coaches. What did you think about the Eagles coaches this year, how they performed specifically? You can start with Sirianni and then Gannon as well.
I'm glad you asked. Sirianni, that was part of my point as well, where I think Hurts is so bad. I don't know if Sirianni's a quarterback because I think he had to greatly shift his offensive plans to accommodate for Hurts week by week. I think he had an outstanding offensive line he could work with to hide Jalen Hurts' flaws as a passer. So, I don't know about Sirianni. I'm 50-50. It's kind of like he's going into his first year for me next season. Like it's impressive he made the playoffs his first year as a coach. That doesn't happen a lot. You can't take that away from him. As far as Gannon goes, it blows my mind that he is being heavily considered in that. It is shocking considering the coaches that are available. I can't even imagine being a Broncos fan right now thinking that it's a strong possibility that John Gannon hired as is that even his first name? I don't even know the guy's first name.
Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah.
John Gannon.
It doesn't matter.
Their head coach by week end. That blows my mind.
Well, I think I think you were right. There was a report that he's the front runner for the Texans job, which to me just blows my mind because
what a Texans move, though. You guys got to admit, it's on brand.
Like, have they watched the games this year? I mean, that's unbelievable to me. I understand the argument that, Gannon didn't have a lot of playmakers to work with on the defensive side of the ball, right? Really, your defensive line is not great. Other than, the interior part of the line, your defensive ends are not great. And then, you've got linebackers who are a bunch of no-name guys. Edwards kind of came on at the end of the year. I get that argument, but, like, the eye test, right? We all saw it. We all saw what was going on. We weren't stupid. We all saw Heineke go 7 for 7 to start the game against us, right?
Heineke is a legend.
Wow. That is one man's opinion that Heineke is a legend. But if we're being real, he's probably a bottom third quarterback. He's gritty, but I mean, come on, he's not Tom Brady. And then we saw guys like Tom Brady.
He almost beat Tom Brady.
Did beat Tom Brady.
He did. He did. That's very true.
You're running into some difficult territory here, Rossi.
I know we've got some Heineke stands here. You two guys really like him. I
actually don't like him at all because Sanjay likes him. But
okay,
this is the ultimate meme to me. What a guy!
Same thing with Kyler, right? Everybody hates Kyler in our group chat.
Just I love Kyler purely because he's short, and I have no problem admitting that.
Seth, what's your feeling on Kyler Murray?
He's not going to win a championship. He's part of the running quarter.
No.
That can't go far in the playoffs with elite defense.
Just wait.
Proved it on Monday.
Can I jump in on Gannon real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, look, first I'll berate him. Look, I mean, every time you saw a guy uncovered at the snap on Sunday, like Cameron Brate or whoever it was who was in the slot, who was usually uncovered, they always went that way. It's just like a quick out route or a quick hitch or whatever it was, just to get the ball quick. And you knew they were going to get it there because the Eagles didn't even – you can play zone, but they didn't even try to reroute these guys off the line at all. So that was a big problem because you can't just blame it on the personnel for Gannon. But what I will say is a big reason he's getting this consideration for these jobs is because they believe he can be a big motivator in the locker room. And because of his time spent with Mike Zimmer for so many years – he has a lot of these connections around the league. So I think the belief is more so that he can put together a complete coaching staff around him with a good offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator who hopefully make Gannon a better defensive play caller if he does indeed call the plays, or maybe he'll give that responsibility away. I highly doubt that. But I think that's a reason why he's getting this consideration. And for the reason you guys mentioned too, with the personnel, if he gets like a Darius Leonard or an Eric Kendricks in the middle, which isn't easy to come by, should mention, and the reason Mike Zimmer's too high defense works so well is because those safeties were so good at coming down to the box and filling in the run game, whereas we didn't have the safeties to do that this year because those guys just weren't very athletic or anything. But I mean, let me be clear: I don't like Gannon, and I hope he does. I hope he does find a job somewhere. For I wouldn't say I necessarily have his best interest in mind, but I have my best interest in mind when I say I hope he finds a job somewhere. But I hope that, I mean, that's just kind of my speculation and from what I've heard, why I think he's probably getting more consideration than expected. But I mean, with some of the other candidates on the board, though, it is surprising. I think with the Texans, I kind of just chalk it up to the fact that they brought in David Coley last year, who pretty much no one had heard about. And honestly, the fact that he got 4 wins was impressive in and of itself. So, I think they're just kind of desperate for, someone who can at least bring in other coaches at this point. But that's kind of my best answer. I mean, they're a poverty franchise. So that's my best explanation as to why Gannon's getting some consideration. I think he is well respected in coaching circles from what I understand. So that's my best answer, trying to be fair on this. So
they've also had Josh McCown go through 2 serious interviews. And look,
yes.
I love Josh. I think he'd make a great quarterbacks coach, but he has no coaching experience in the NFL. You can't or at the collegiate level. He's only been a high school coach. You can't. A guy like that does not have the experience. As smart as he might be, right? Does not have the experience to be an NFL head coach. The fact that he's even got an interview is just absurd. And again, I love Josh McCown.
That's a slap in the face to the other candidates too, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's
Bad.
bad luck.
Josh McCown get hired over you as a head coach with 0 coaching experience. Oof. That's a tough one to swallow. Man. We do have the offseason to be coming though, Fish. And I know Hunter has a few. Didn't you do a video like recently in the offseason moves, Hunter?
I didn't, but I will be doing one soon. But yeah, I mean, let's touch on that real quick though. I mean, we touched on the coaching staff, and yeah, my video was on the season awards, which we'll also get to in a minute. But let's talk about the offensive side of the ball, Fish. Obviously, I think the defense is a primary focus of this offseason, but there are still needs to fill on the offensive side of the ball, right? I mean, we got to figure out if Kelsey's coming back, if Brooks is coming back, and how that's going to work out at center and right guard. You got to figure out, you're probably going to try to get another wide receiver in there. If you don't, you're stupid. And, you could probably use another tight end. Like, there's needs on this offense. I mean, I'm sure you have more to elaborate on those and maybe some other needs we have. What are you looking to address in the offseason in terms of positional needs and any specific guys you might have in mind to fill those needs?
Oh, man. I mean, I think Kelsey back at center is going to be huge this offseason. It's been talked about the past 3 off seasons, I believe, whether or not he's going to retire. And if he retires, nobody in Philly is going to be mad at him for it. Where we have a gaping hole in our offensive line to fill. So hopefully, I think the number one thing for our offense would be getting him back there. As far as wide receivers go, I think if Hurts is our quarterback, regardless of the quarterback, we need good weapons around them. Having Devontae Smith was our best draft pick in a long time. He was phenomenal this season. Dallas Goedert, all-star tight end. I'd go after a veteran wide receiver, a proven wide receiver. I saw like a potential mock trade with the Falcons for Calvin Ridley. I think that would be a big addition to our wide receiving core. Just getting a proven wide receiver, because I think our front office has proven that we can't draft receivers. I have little confidence drafting this coming draft, but we have room to make a splash with the 3 first-round draft picks coming in the draft this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it on the wide receivers too, because there's a couple guys I'm eyeing up, but I'd rather them just not touch the wide receiver position because I'm ultimately going to be upset because they're not going to take the guy I want. And they're at a spot where obviously last year they were at number 10 where they couldn't really reach as far as they did for a guy like Rager. This year, they're kind of a little bit further back. So if they decide to go at 19 with a wideout, they could totally reach for a second-round guy they shouldn't be reaching for. But I don't know, Rossi Sanj, do you guys have any thoughts on offseason needs on the offensive side of the ball?
Dude, for me, I really do think the wide receiver thing has to be a free agent signing. I don't really trust the draft for that. I don't. Howie just overthinks, man, especially with the first rounders, which is where we need to get like a wideout of that caliber. He just overthinks too much. I mean, once you miss on DK Metcalf and you miss on Justin Jefferson, it's hard to unsee that. It really is very hard to unsee that. That's just something I can't watch the Seahawks anymore. I can't do it. Every time I watch DK do anything, Ian, we have
Ian.
So you knew I had to be here for this. I wasn't gonna miss this.
we heard rumors, man.
I was wondering. I didn't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh!
That's right.
Time.
I didn't know about that either, Ian. But Rossi had a little something ready to go.
That's
I was just doing the intro and Rossi just
you
put
know
that up there. I was cracking up.
That's a great graphic. Wow.
You can tell who designs the art for our channel. But
Oh.
Take that like wallpaper.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Ian, bro, we were just going through off-season needs for the offense, my man. And I know you just got here, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot right away.
Okay.
But Fish was saying, we asked Fish already, he was like, we need that proven wide receiver in free agency was something he specified. And he also talked about how the Eagles haven't really shown the ability to draft receivers. I was just obviously crying about that, given that we had passed on Metcalf and Justin Jefferson in back-to-back years, if I'm not mistaken. So, Ian, what's yours, man? Like, I know I'm hitting you on the spot right here. You just got in like 3 seconds ago. But off-season needs for the offense, my man. What are you seeing?
For the offense? Honestly, I'm gonna have to agree. Just the not linebacker. That's defense. I'm sorry. I'm so tired. I just moved like so much stuff. I'm exhausted. I didn't mean to say linebacker. I meant to say wide receiver. I promise I know football, but yeah, I would have to go with wide
Yeah,
receiver.
sorry. Actually, Ian, Seth is replacing you on the pod. We didn't mention that part.
Yeah, Ian, sorry. We've officially traded you. I don't know to what channel, but you have been traded.
Oh dang it!
I'm just kidding, Ian. I wouldn't move you. I would hold you closer than how he holds his own first-round draft picks. I'm not letting you go ever.
Wow.
I don't care, even if you did think that a wide
That's a
receiver was a
compliment.
linebacker.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. But no, for real, I would want a wide receiver. Like the only way there are really only 2 receivers, actually 3 that I really want in this draft. All of which I think might be gone by the time we get them. So having a proven wide receiver in free agency would be great. But honestly, like Mechie, Traylon Burks, or Chris Olave are really the only 3 that I would want in the draft. Outside of that, I would need a free agent wide receiver, whether it be trading for a Calvin Ridley or by some miracle of God we would get Devontae Adams. Don't know how that would work, but something along those lines, I would love it. Or as Nate, what was the pairing I said I wanted more than a girlfriend that Nate Rossi brought up? Oh shoot, what was it?
Ridley and Smith. Right?
No. Who
Mike
was
Williams.
Mike Williams?
Mike Williams and
Mike
Devontae
Williams.
Smith?
Yeah.
Big Mike.
I would love Mike Williams. Yeah, just a proven guy so that Howie
You
doesn't
have that duo, or would you rather be dating Taylor Swift?
Well, that's not a question. I would rather the Eagles never win a Super Bowl again, but I'm dating Taylor Swift.
Oh, Ian, no.
Selfish man. This is getting clipped, man.
Ian,
this is
getting clipped, dog.
Oh,
Ross,
no,
put this on the
Ian.
Insta. We're
Oh,
Insta shaming this man tonight.
Listen, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
absolutely. Sorry, Ian.
You know me all you want. I have been in love with that woman since I was 11 years old, and nothing has changed.
The hustle has to be
Yeah, like I said
respected.
earlier this week, Ian is a treasure trove of content.
He is, man. Ian, you are your own brand, dog. I'll give you that.
I've been in love with that woman since I was 11. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed.
People are going to be upset after they agree with your Rager rant earlier this week. But
listen, they can be upset all they want. I'm just telling the truth.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, on that note, let's switch to the defensive side of the ball, where we've obviously discussed a lot of needs. Look, Fish, this whole defense could use some upgrades at every spot, honestly. Even cornerback, you could argue we could add a young guy for depth there. I mean, this is definitely a need no matter which coordinator is coming in. What are you looking to address on this side of the ball? And, yeah, any guys you have in mind to address those needs?
So I'll start off on a positive note with the defense because, like you said, it's just gaping holes everywhere, it seems.
Everywhere.
I had a huge year. I was very impressed with him. Obviously, Darius Slay had another Pro Bowl year. Or he played like the contract we signed him for.
Yep.
He was a playmaker all year long. It was good to see him the way he was. I believe we still have Brandon Graham under contract for next year.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That should help things. Hopefully, we'll see. Hopefully, he's not too old and hits his plateau or anything like that. I don't suspect that. He'll be good to have around, whether that's on the field or in the locker room. Man, I don't know where to start. There's been progression with our line. TJ Edwards progressed throughout the season. I think he had a good tail end of the year.
Yes.
Other than that, man, I don't know. I think big changes are coming to our defense. I think I saw a list of our future free agents. I saw Rodney McLeod's on that list, Anthony Harris, Steven Nelson, all these guys. I don't think they're definitely not getting paid big money to stay, and they didn't earn a contract with us. I don't think a multi-year deal by any. So I think big changes are coming. I like Josh Sweat on the defensive end. I'm buying in, Hunter. I'm with you. I like Sweat.
Shameless plug for the Sweaty J sandwich at Wawa. Please make it happen.
He looks like I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Real quick, Fish.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, you remember when we were on the bus to the prayer retreat back in like 12th grade and you, me, and Doug were playing a game where we had to guess which Eagles player we were thinking of, and I think I guessed you had Sweaty J that time. You remember that?
Does ring a bell, actually.
We were going. That was when it was like Nathan Gary and all those guys. Like no one knew about.
Don't make me throw up on camera. Oh my god!
Sorry to interrupt, but
Hunter's been day one. I can't. He supported him since before I knew who he was. So that's Hunter's guy, and I ride with Hunter. I ride with Sweaty J.
Don't ride with Nate Gary though. Holy crap, he sucks.
Nate, that was a whole traumatic memory. I just erased that name from my mind. I just had the whole the flashback you see in the TV shows, people be flashbacking. I was flashbacking as soon as he said that. I was like,
I'll never forget the first snap that Nate Gary played as an Eagle. You want to know how I remember it? Because he cost us a fumble on special teams. That's how I know it. And he got cut later that year. And then you know what we did? Like an idiots, we brought him back. Oh, I hate Nate Gary. I'm sorry.
It's funny. I just got off another stream with someone. Oh, my apologies, Rossi. We lose Rossi.
No, you're good. I was just gonna. It's really because Howie he just really values that linebacker position. You know.
If they can play special teams, they can play linebacker. But
it's basically the same thing.
It's funny. I just got off a stream with someone else, and we were talking about last year a little bit, and we were reminiscing about that game where Chase Claypool put up like 200 yards, and then on the crucial third down, we needed to get the ball back. Jim Schwartz had Nathan Gary as the middle of the field defender with Chase Claypool in the slot, and he went right over his head for a touchdown. So, yeah. I don't know. Any of you guys have stuff to touch on the defensive needs? I mean, Ian, you just got here. You want to touch a little bit on that?
I mean, just after that Nate Gary PTSD, nothing sticks out more than linebacker right now. Like, we've ignored that position for so freaking long. And this league, I feel like, is just shifting more towards the need for like a really athletic linebacker that can either do well in coverage, pick up a tight end, or like blitz really well. Like that's where the game is headed, especially with like all these receiving tight ends. Like, we desperately need a linebacker, and we cannot get by with what we have. Like, we can't keep getting these like day 3 guys at linebacker. We actually need we need men up there, not boys. So to me, that's like the most glaring need right now.
Dude, I mean, like you guys mentioned, I'll just close this one out before we get to the next one. Linebacker's huge. You guys have already talked on that a little bit. But the other spot, which Hunter brought up a little bit, but I do feel needs to be said. We have no depth at corner. We got very lucky with our corners this year, health-wise. Like, if even Nelson had a bit of like a down stretch towards the back half of the year. If he got injured, you know who was behind him? Zach McPherson, man. And I haven't seen that dude do one thing right as an Eagle. Oh my goodness. After hearing good things about him in camp, that was it. Homeboy gave up everything on the field in terms of coverage. Like, couldn't do jack. And maybe corner's obviously the hardest spot.
Listen, I hate to say I told you so, but from the second that they drafted him, I was like, guys, this dude is not it. And then during the preseason, I was like, guys, this dude is not it. It was just not a very good draft pick.
And I was right there with you guys too. Like, when we didn't draft a corner in the 3rd round or trade up in the 3rd round, when there was like the last bit of guys who would have been really talented, they didn't do it. So I just wanted to add that.
Who did we take round 3 again?
Milton Williams. Milton is looking. He really improved down the stretch. So I can't be mad.
That turned into a good pick. Yeah,
it did.
He had a good showing. And obviously,
what about round 2? Did we?
Round 2 was Dickerson.
That's right. That's right. And I did not like that pick at the time. That's right.
He's very
all right.
good.
We're gonna shift tack though a bit, gents. And now this is the one which Hunter did the vid for already. So I guess if you want his, you can that's already been spoiled for you. Go check out that video. It's already happened. But Fish, you got to give out 3 awards. Okay, you got to give out 3 awards. We'll do 3.
Okay.
We got offensive player. We got defensive player. These are all for just the Eagles. Offensive player, defensive player, and we got MVP, overall MVP of the team.
Wow.
So 3 awards, my man. Who are you giving them to?
Start on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to give it to my boy, Devontae Smith. big year, broke Deshaun Jackson's rookie yards receiving record. That's a big deal. And conveniently enough, he reminded me of Deshaun Jackson in a lot of ways. Watching him every Sunday brought me excitement again. Every time he touched the ball, every time he was on the field, I knew something big could happen with his speed, his route running ability. I'm going to give him Offensive Player of the Year. Dallas Goedert, close second. As far as MVP goes, that's a really tough question, but I'm going to go with Jason Kelce. I think Kelce was the glue that not only held our line together, but you got to think, when he was off the field, how many times was there an errant snap? Like, I was like, I would keep an eye. I would make sure it was 62 on center doing the shotgun snap, because I was like, who knows where this ball is going to go if it's not him. The backup,
Anyway.
I think it was like Opeta. Like, he was the next guy.
Yeah, I know Brett Toth took a snap at center this year.
Oh my goodness. They were snapping the ball. Like, I was waiting for a safety. They would snap it 20 yards over his head. I mean, I don't think our offense would have functioned without Jason Kelce behind center. I'm sorry, Jason Kelce at center.
It's true. He plays both center and quarterback. He snaps the ball to himself.
Honestly.
Absolute legend.
Defensively, I'll go with Darius Slay. He lived up to his contract this year. He was the playmaker. He could lock down the best. He could play with the best receivers in the league, so I enjoyed watching him play this season.
And Seth, I gotta say real quick, it's funny you say all that, because literally exactly in my video, Offensive Player of the Year, Devontae, and then Goddard close second, Slay Defensive Player of the Year, and Kelce MVP. So great minds think alike. And even Drew in the chat has Kelce as his MVP.
Wow.
Fish read the scouting report. He was like, I know. He's like, I'm ready. I'm prepared for this question. He's been studying the film. He knows.
I vent to Hunter weekly. Eagles see. He agrees.
Luke Juriga.
I forgot about him. I think you did do a video on Juriga a while ago. I want to say you did.
I did.
That was a
he never got a shot, so
well done.
I will never know if I was right or not.
Gone with the wind, my man.
Juriga. I forgot.
Man, that was a throwback. But before we just get to like kicking it around, we like to do like a little just bit of fun time at the end of the pods. But before we get to that, we do have one question for you.
Okay.
One more to finish out the like actual structured part of this interview, and then we're just freestyle. We're doing whatever the crap we want.
Word.
Who are three? We always look for people to take a jump. This year we had Maddox take a huge jump. You mentioned TJ Edwards also made a big leap in terms of play this season. And I don't really know. You could argue Josh Sweat too, to bring up a guy we also discussed. He made a big leap this season towards being a much more consistent pass rusher. Who are three guys you're looking at next year on the Eagles to take a big leap in terms of just upping their production, being more consistent, helping to contribute? A big part of playing football, it's nice to look for free agents. It's nice to look through the draft, but you got to develop the people who are on your team. So who are you looking at to really step up next year?
Definitely. I'm looking at our offensive line, especially if Kelce's not there. I'm looking at the left side with Dickerson or Mailata. I think both of them are going to play a huge role in our future, whether that be next season or the years to come. I'll say I'll just count one of them. I'll say Mailata at left tackle is going to be huge. You always got to protect the quarterback's blind side. I like both of them there. I think Mailata was a great pickup. I was talking about him today with some coworkers, playing rugby at 6'8", 360 pounds. That guy's a machine. Seeing him on TV, it's like shocking. Just seeing how massive that guy.
He's a smart car, man. He's literally just a smart car playing football.
His athleticism for a guy that size is just something in a league of its own. You don't see it ever. So I'm looking forward to him. And then you got to go Jalen Hurts. If he's my quarterback, I'm a Philly sports fan. I'm going to ride with him. If he's there behind center next season, he's my guy, and he needs to take a lot of improvement for sure. As far as a third guy is concerned, you got to go defense, and I need Maddox to take another step up. I think that corner behind Slay is absolutely huge. Like I said, he already made dramatic improvements this offseason. He came in ready to go, and he had a phenomenal season that helped us make the playoffs and made our defense pretty solid in the latter half of the season. So I think he'll need to take another step forward if the Eagles are going to compete for a playoff spot next year.
For sure, man. That slot corner spot, nickelback, whatever you want to call it. In today's NFL, with the schemes people be running out of the slot, you need somebody who can cover that.
Absolutely.
Like, you need that. It's too much of a necessity in today's NFL. Man, that was it for the structure. We're just gonna open the floor now. This is where pretty much at the end of these things, we just end up goofing off a bit, man. So
my special.
Who's got ideas, man? Who's trying to talk about what? Ian, you're laughing over there, man.
Yeah, Ian, it looks like you got a story. I'll let you go first.
Hold on.
I don't know if you can tell the story on the podcast. The story that I'm remembering.
Ian, is this story PG-13?
It might be R-rated, honestly. It's pretty funny.
Okay, we're going to scratch that.
That
will be
off air. I will remainice about
this will be a backstage one then. Nah, we're gonna have to try that. Any other tax, non-R-rated tax, preferably PG-13 tax.
We haven't discussed the winner of our Philly Sports Insider game picking
pick'ems
season. The pick'ems. We haven't talked about the winner. I think that's a big deal to close out this series section of the podcast. I think that earned my right into the Philly Sports Insider podcast. And Sanjay, I'll let you do the announcement.
Man, it was a battle. It was ironically, I was the one who actually started hot at the beginning of the year. I was just calling out Ravens picks like at the start of the year. I was absolutely trolling, and some of them just worked out. I picked against the Chiefs pretty much every week when they were terrible. So that was a big help. And then from there, it was collapse for me, man. Everybody else started making their way up. And wouldn't you know it, at the end of all the smoke, all the fire, everything just going to absolute like chaos. One man was left standing atop the mountain. And it was, in fact, the one and only Seth Fisher who took home the Philly Insider Podcast Pick'em League. Congrats to Seth, everybody. Yes. Thank you.
Should we get a breaking news for Seth winning the Pick'em League? Yeah, definitely.
Yes, we definitely need.
Listen, I feel like I was a close second. I think I got in. I tried to pick like 3 matchups. I had to do homework for pretty much the entire semester, made 3 picks, and I was done for the year. So I think I should get a close second here.
I think I should also get a close third because I picked for 3 weeks, and then I also was doing homework for the rest of the semester.
No, homework, unfortunately. Homework, like COVID, will not lead to a postponement of this game, unfortunately.
Oh.
Darn.
So, sorry, boys. The NFL is not willing to postpone willing to COVID. You're not getting a close mention for homework. It's not happening.
For anyone wondering what the story is, you can check the group chat. But I couldn't hold it in. It was just too funny to me. I had to at least put it.
I'm sure I'll have a good laugh at that. Seth, when you get added to this group chat, man, you are not ready for this group chat, my guy. You might want to brace yourself, bro.
I can't wait.
The amount, the change in direction, that has to be the thing that is probably the most impressive about our group chat. The change in direction is impeccable.
I was telling Hunter before this podcast started. I was, and you, Sanjay. I was very excited to have Ian Baldwin and Nate Tussing on the same podcast. I wanted to get Ian fired up. I wanted to get Nate fired up. See some fireworks. We were going to viral with the podcast. Had the 2 of them on there.
Oh, you'll see it in the chat. Don't worry.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Oh, you'll see it.
We need to bring more of that to the air.
It's usually making a really stupid claim that he throws out of his rear end, and then I have to, use actual logic and reason. Something he doesn't comprehend.
No,
that's the thing. That's the thing is that that's the thing is that Nate will say the exact same thing if you ask him.
You 2 are literally different sides of the same coin. Like some of the claims you guys make sense. Some of the claims are just out of nowhere. Like nobody even understands.
We've got a Haskins stan here.
Haskins
stan. I do love Dwayne Haskins. All of
they
that.
Somehow defend Tua. I don't know how that happened.
I do love Spencer Rattler. You can sue me on that one too if you want.
Man, point being, you do
Baker.
I
that.
love Ben Simmons. I'll say it. I'm not afraid.
Oh,
Baker.
no.
I love him. Should he be here?
Baker.
Can we
Absolutely
remove
not.
Ian
He
for
should
that?
go to-
That's not okay.
He should
That's
leave
not- Ian, that's
Philadelphia.
a
I'm
foul.
not-
Ian, that's a
listen,
tech. Ian, that's a tech.
I'm sorry.
If you get
I'll
another
still-
tech,
I
I'm
don't
going to
care.
have to like officially disapprove, and I'm going to give you my disapproving dad face.
No,
Ooh,
I'm sorry. Listen, he should leave Philly. I'm not disagreeing with. Oh, yes. Don't get me started on how much I love Kirk
That's the
Cousins.
squad right there.
It says a lot that Kirk is the best player on that list.
Well, that's debatable.
You know, Ian just
No.
really likes average to below average professional
true.
athletes. He just enjoys.
Listen.
He enjoys them.
Kirk is just going to take whatever team he goes to next. He's going to take him to the moon. I can't
Oh,
explain it to you, but it's just a feeling. I do love Konechny.
Listen,
Whoever said that, I adore Travis Konechny.
He got his 100th goal this week.
He did.
That's a big
Took
deal.
him long enough, but I mean,
Ian, we should go to a Flyers game and wear plastic bags over our heads.
dude, we should honestly just.
yeah, no, don't do that. You'll have pucks being fired at you left and right the way that
Well,
Ian gets things launched at him in professional sports games.
It's true. Ian is a magnet fish. You don't. If you're sitting next to Ian at his,
Dude, he was there for my puck.
Well, he knows
Yeah, yeah.
Fish was there when a puck just comes off of Voracek's stick and lands right in Ian's outstretched hand. We're all
All right.
screaming so much that one of the security guards comes down thinking that he's injured.
That's story time right there. Let me get in a little bit.
Oh, please.
Yeah, do it, man.
When I wake up on a Saturday morning, normal Saturday, I don't think I have much going on. I'm a high school junior at the time. I have homework to do, just like the rest of the boys. And Ian shoots me a text and says, "Yo, you want to go to the Flyers game? My mom got tickets." Story time with Fish. This is perfect. I love it. I say, of course, go to the Flyers game. We're playing the Capitals that night, defending Stanley Cup champions. I'd never watched Alex Ovechkin live, being a big hockey fan. I can't wait to go to the game. So we meet at me, Nate, and Ian meet. I think it was just us three, right?
Yeah, it was just us three.
Yeah, it was
We
three of us.
meet at Ian's house, and I'm not expecting much as far as the tickets go because they were expensive at the time. And we're just three high school idiots going to the
I
Flyers.
also did not know where the seats were, by the
Yeah.
way, until we got there.
So I show up to Ian's, and I'm expecting we're top 220. And we get to the stadium, and I look at the tickets, literally as we enter the Wells Fargo Center, and it's like row 4, section 124, 110, right in the middle of center ice. And I was like, I didn't say anything. I just kept it cool. But I was like, this is crazy. Like, and Ian's like, yeah, my mom bought me these tickets for my birthday. So we settle in. And
Shout out to Ian's mom.
shout out to mom, for real.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
We're right next to the Capitol. We're behind the Capitol's bench, right next to where they enter and exit the ice. And Ovechkin's right in front of us the whole game. Flyers smoke the Caps 8-2. We get into the third period. And game's already over. We're up 6-2 probably at this point. And near center ice, Jake Voracek and Alex Ovechkin are colliding. It's an exciting moment. You know, you're hoping one of them gets laid out. Maybe a fight breaks out. They connect sticks. The puck flies up into our section. It's unbelievable. It came at us so quick. And Ian's outstretched hand catches the puck. And me... like I was in shock. Like it's kind of like one of those things where like you go to a baseball game when you're a kid, you bring your glove, but then the ball comes towards you. You don't expect it to hit you. You don't expect it to come anywhere near you. Ian just catches the puck and it's in his hand and he starts screaming like Rossi said. And I thought he was broke his hand or something. And the whole time looking at us, I'm like, dude, are you good? He's like, I just bought a puck from Alex.
Oh my God.
You couldn't have drawn up a better story for a puck. I have a picture of it on my Snapchat.
Dude, also when Braden Holtby
Well,
flipped
not-
us off, that was pretty great too.
Yeah. We got
Yes,
yelled.
Braden Holtby flipped us off leaving the ice and cursed us out because, mind you, he didn't play that night. This is like the first week of the season, he didn't even play, right? I think it was like Michael Grubauer, his backup, right? And he's sitting on the bench, and the whole time we're just yelling Holtby, and we're telling him you suck, and he absolutely goes ballistic on us after the Caps get trounced 8-2, and we've been yelling at him all night. He starts cursing us out, unbelievable night, man. That was a great game. But Ian
got it. This guy as a goalie took his blocker off to flip us off.
Oh yeah,
He
wanted us to see it.
That's commitment. That's effort right there.
How he was going to do that. That's a tough transition. You got to take off the blocker, hold your stick, make sure the blocker doesn't fall on the ground, and then give us the middle finger. That's respect.
Yeah. Hate him.
Well, not only that, I mean, Ian, the Sixers game that we went to, right? We're sitting there.
I have to tell that story.
4 rows from the top. You take it away. 4 rows from the top of the stadium.
So this was correct me if I'm wrong, Rossi. This was like the last game before COVID.
Yes.
It was the night that we got all those notifications.
Yeah. So this was the last game.
This was the night the pandemic hit.
Yeah, this was literally like the last Sixers game before COVID. And I'll never forget. I was sitting next, Nate Tussing was on the end. I think Rossi was to my left, and our friend Thomas was like two to the left of me. And Rossi comes in, he's like, dude, Ian is a magnet at these games. Like, he's going to catch something. And the whole time, Nate Tussing was doubting. He's like, I don't believe it. There's no way. There's no way that he catches anything in this game. I said, Nate, I'm telling you, like, and like you were talking more than I was. You're like Nate Tussing, trust me, he will catch something.
To be fair, I was joking too because we were 4 rows from the top.
Yeah, so I want to say it was like, the t-shirts always come out like I think it's like 2 or 3 times a game. And the first time t-shirts come out, I'm like, this isn't my time yet. And I'm like saying it like I'm so prophetic. And like Nate Tussing obviously rolling his eyes and he goes, you're not going to get a t-shirt tonight. There's no way. And I'm like, Nate, I'm telling you, I will get a t-shirt tonight. Like acting so confident and like also admittedly carrying a little confidence that it was going to happen. And the second time I should preface. So we're like, doing our thing, watching the Sixers. And I told Nate, I'm like, trust me, the second time it will happen. Like, I will catch a t-shirt. So the t-shirts come out again. And I look over to my right. I look at Nate Tussing. I say, it's my time. I don't scream. I don't wave my arms or anything. I just stand up like this. And I just look at the t-shirt people. I just look. And
you look with the binoculars.
He made eye contact.
I locked eyes with the guy in the
rom-com.
I locked eyes with him.
Eye contact.
Like I swear we almost had like a mental connection. Like he knew that he was gonna shoot that shirt to me because I was just like this, so confident. And he looked at me and he gave me a smile, angled the cannon upwards, and I swear you could not, I promise you could not make this up any better. He fires the shirt, and I'm like, I know it's coming to me the second that guy and I locked eyes. And it's going, it's getting closer and closer. And like, I'm keeping my cool, and Nate Tussing's sole mission is to make sure that I don't catch this shirt. So he's like trying to push me and shove me. He's trying to swat the t-shirt out of the air. But of course, where does it hit me? Right in between the 2 and the 1 of my Embiid jersey. Dead center, right in my chest.
Shout out to the aim for the guy with the t-shirt.
It was probably one of the most
I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think you could get a t-shirt that high. 4 rows from the top. I literally, as it was coming towards us, I couldn't believe it.
Ian, the laws of gravity do not apply to Ian, fan.
No, it really.
Not to mention, we also went to a Phillies game. Me and Ian, just the 2 of us, were sitting there with our chicken tenders on our laps. And Roman Quinn, mind you, absolutely smacks a ball, line drive, 110, velocity coming right at us, second deck, and we decided not to sacrifice our chicken fingers. But if we did, Ian surely would have caught that ball.
Bro, it was probably like if you were, I think you were on my left, and like literally either one of us, if we had just stood up, that ball would have been caught. But also, the Citizens
sacrifice the chicken
tenders
fingers.
are like $30, so I wasn't wasting $30 on some chicken tenders.
Definitely made the right decision.
Only so many things can be sacrificed.
Now,
Not
where's Roman Quinn now? Probably. I'm just kidding. I love Roman Quinn. I don't want to knock Roman Quinn.
Oh
He's
man,
gotta start being
dang.
for real.
Well, Fish, I gotta ask you. I mean, I don't know how I'm gonna top asking about one of those stories. Those are some of the legendary ones, but high school baseball, man. Favorite memory if you had to pick one.
Wow. I got to go back to junior year. Somebody asked me about this recently. Actually, the bus rides were always a blast. That was the best part of baseball.
Mr. B driving 120 miles an hour over the bumps. Love that guy.
we're the bus going 107. we're going in the passing lane in a school bus. After we lose 22-0 to Crystal.
Oh my gosh.
I remember it was there came a point in the season where it was just like we were so bad it was just funny. Like but then all of a sudden things started to click and we won. I think we won like 7 out of 11 or something like that, and we made the playoffs with that team we were on where Nate Tussing, shout out Nate. Nate Tussing had a cold and an elbow impingement that kept him out of the playoff game. We ended up losing that playoff game, but probably I would say making the playoffs with that team. Greatest accomplishment. Yeah, Hunter.
Wait, did you just say a cold kept Nate Tussing out of a playoff game?
I mean, hold on, Rossi. You mean to tell me you could not believe that? Because that's a very Nate Tussing way to miss a playoff game.
Okay, the elbow impingement, I understand. I've been there. I understand with the elbow impingement, but the cold was actually part of the reason he wasn't in a playoff game.
No, we're not gonna do this.
I gotta say though, I gotta brag on Fish for a second here though, because the coaches got to a point like 5 or 6 games in after a Friday Plumstead game where they told Seth, they were like, dude, we don't know what to say to him anymore. Like we can't get through to these guys. And Seth had to come on the bus while the coaches were outside. And like, for the guys who were there had to like say something to us. And next day we got crushed again. But after that George School game, we did start to turn things around. So credit to you, Fish, big part of that turnaround. And that was our last really like fun year in terms of on the field stuff. Off the field was always fun, but
it's always a blast.
Yeah.
For listeners out there, Hunter was my catcher and I was the starting pitcher for our school. Our school was horrendous on all accounts.
They were so bad.
But me and Hunter had a blast, and memories for a lifetime. Now I'll ask you, Hunter, your favorite memory from high school baseball.
Oh, I think I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, well, one of them, Seth, it would be when I went 4-for-4 against Bristol last year after a cold streak to start the year, and then, well, we know how that game ended, so I'm not going to touch on that. But my favorite has to be my first JV game. I'm coming off like 8th grade. I just lost my confidence, and we go into 9th grade. I'm competing for the second base job, and I didn't even get that. And at that point, and the coaches wanted me to play catcher, and I'm like, I never played. Like, my knees aren't going to be able to take that. And they couldn't, even though I did it for like, I don't know how many, Seth, I don't know how many hours I caught when we got mercy ruled some of those days, man. It was
a long time, Hunter.
Yeah, it was. I remember you tried catching for me the one time in the gym, and you know how it feels, man. But look, that game, one of our catchers had to leave in the 3rd inning, and after doing the scorebook the first 3 innings, they threw me in. Had one that bounced off the top of the backstop. I barehanded it, threw it to third base, and got a guy out. Next one went between my legs because I didn't know how to block at that point. Still never knew how to block. And then threw it to second base, a rainbow, got the guy out because it's JV. And then I had the walk-off hit. So that was just an unreal day after like the adversity I faced. And then from that point on, I don't think I ever played a different position than catcher, which the only thing I liked about catcher was the pitch calling. I hated the actual physical, stress it put on my body. I hated that part, but calling pitches for Seth was one of my greatest joys in high school sports. So.
And shout out Hunter. He was the first athlete to go first team. He went first team in 10th grade before I did, before anybody else. Hunter went first team before any of us did.
Thanks, Fish. I
know that.
Appreciate that, man. That was a fun year. 10th grade's a year I'll never forget either, where we went to Devon, got smacked 18 something, and then came back and should have probably beat them in the playoffs. But but I don't know. You guys got anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up here? Nothing? All right. Well, we're at the hour mark. Seth, you got something? I just saw you.
Yeah. I'll just say thanks for having me on. I had a good time. It's always good seeing you boys, and it's an honor to be officially mentioned in this podcast and be a part of it. So thanks for having me. Thanks for all you guys hopping on and making my Friday a little bit better.
Hey, of course.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you. And this won't be the last time, obviously. We're excited for the future. It's time to go to work, Fish. So we're gonna get your work schedule in by the end of this week. And with that said, guys, run, booby, run, fly, Eagles, fly. We will see y'all.